Hello, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about understanding passing chords. Okay. Now this is just a part one, so I just really want to cover the foundation of passing chords and understanding it. I'm actually going to give you certain chords, okay? Because I feel like a lot of times people they cover passing chords, but don't really give you I don't know, too much practical things. Okay. So today we're going to be in the key of D major. All right. All right. And I'm just doing D major just to give you a different look outside of the key of C. Okay. But that doesn't mean that you don't take, pretty much whatever we do in the key of D, take it and apply it to all your other keys. So if you're stronger in a different key, you can take what we learned today in D and just transpose it up or down, okay? All right, so for the example, it's gonna sound something like this. Right? That sounds pretty familiar, right? There's so many songs that cover that progression. All right? And that's just a 1 to the 5, 6 to the 4, okay? Now, a lot of times, honestly, in many cases, before you play any chord, you can always think about circular movement, okay? And I've covered that before in a previous video. But, so let's just start. So, of course, this is the 1. All right? That movement, I think I covered that on the video right before this one, actually. All right? Now, we're getting ready to go to the 5. Before you get to the 5, you can play a 2. Okay? If we're thinking about circular movement, anytime you're getting ready to go to the 5, you can use the passing chord off of the 2, which is, in this case, the E. Now, what passing chord to use? Of course, you can play different passing chords, okay? But for the most part, before you get to the 5, which is that major 5, you can play a dominant 2, okay? Which would be a E dominant. All right? Now, that right there sounds kind of plain and dull. So the way I play it is like this. Okay? All right? And I play for church. I'm kind of soulful and stuff like that. So the way I voice my chords, I kind of like to put, soul behind it, feel, okay? All right? So before I go to that 5, I'm going to do this. Okay? So I'm going to break down that chord, okay? So the way I played it is like this. All right, now in my left hand, I have E, and I'm using my thumb to play the 7, okay? The dominant 7 of E, so I have D. So in my left hand, I have E and D, okay? That's that feel. Now in my right hand, I'm actually playing, it looks pretty much like a C sharp minor chord, okay? But, so these are the notes. We have the G sharp, B, C sharp, and E. So G sharp, B, C sharp, and E. Now, the way I play it, I kind of do a flick. So I don't actually play the B. I don't come down on it. I just flick it. So I end up really playing this chord right here. So G sharp, C sharp, and E, okay? Okay? So that's one chord you can use to get to the 5. All right? Now, of course, you can take that and use it in different situations. So far we have the 1. Before we get to the 5, we're gonna do this. All right? It just adds a little bit more feel. All right? Now, after the 5, you have the 6. Okay? So, before you get to the 6, you can go to the 3. Okay? In any situation. All right? You can go to the 3 right before the 6. All right? Now, what chord can you play? Well, for the most part, in most settings, you're going to play either a diminished chord on that 3 or a dominant chord, depending on the style and the song and different things like that. So I'll give you both, okay? So if you're in any situation, you can either do a diminished chord or you can do a dominant, all right? Now, if we're on this 3, which is the F sharp, if I say a diminished chord, you may think doing a regular F sharp diminished, but in this case, you go a half step up and we're gonna play a G diminished over the F sharp, and it should sound like this, okay? All right, now, I don't play it just straight like this. I may fill it up with my left hand like this. See how that add more thickness? I'm gonna break this chord down. So here we go. Like I said, you have F sharp in your left. And also, I'm gonna add this C sharp and this E. Okay? That fills up your left hand. And it doesn't sound too muddy, all right? In your right hand, you have G, A sharp, C sharp, and E. Okay? And you don't necessarily have to do it in this inversion. You can, okay? All right? So you can always do a 3 before, play a 3 before you get to the 6, okay? All right? So that's a diminished chord. That's the diminished that you can play over the 3. Now for a dominant, you can play it regular. I've heard songs do that. They'll start on the 1, then go to the 3. Okay? I can actually think of a song right now that does that. So if you want to play it like this, the F sharp dominant, the way I'm playing it, I have E. This is my right hand. I have E, G sharp, A sharp, and C sharp. Okay? If you want to add more to your left hand, you can add that C sharp. So in your left hand, it will be F sharp and C sharp. Okay? So, and then you go to the 6. Okay? But I'm gonna give you a little bit more, okay? So on that 3, we can do this. Okay? So that's another way to play your dominant chord, all right? So I said I wouldn't give too much in this lesson, but it's okay. So just a little half step movement, all right? So hopefully you enjoyed that one. So far you have, on the 3, you have this diminished chord, or you can play the dominant, or if you want to spice up the dominant chord, you can do this. Okay? So, before I do that, before I get to this chord, I do this half step movement, okay? So here we go. That chord is in my right hand. I have A, D, and F. Now, if you look at this is really just a minor chord. It's a D minor, okay? I'm just playing it in second inversion, okay? So really, I just take this D minor in second inversion and just take it up a half step, okay? All right? So I don't play anything with this chord in my left hand. So right now, I do this. I play the chord first. Then when I go up a half step, I add my left hand, okay? All right? So my left hand is going to be F sharp and E, okay? So, and I flip the D. So once I go up a half step, my new chord is pretty much a E flat minor or a D sharp minor, second inversion. So I have A sharp, D sharp, and F sharp, okay? But you see how I have my index finger right here? I just kind of flick it. Doing these type of things with your chords can add a little bit more style and flavor. Some people do this, you know? All right, so you can start from the C sharp. but a lot of times I just start from that D. Okay? So you have, and then you go to the 6. Okay? So you can mix it up. Now before on that 6, I played a major over the 6. So just a rule of thumb, you can play the 5, the major 5 over the 6. Instead of just playing a regular 6 minor, in this case, instead of playing a regular B minor, to add more flavor to it or just something different, I will play a 5. See? So that can give you a little bit more feel, okay? So over that 3, so far, you can do this, you can do a diminished. You can say, well, I don't want to do a diminished this time, I'm going to do a dominant. So you can just play it like this. Or if you want to do a dominant still, but you don't want to play it like this, you want to add a little bit more flavor to it, you can do this. And then, okay. All right, so here we go. So far we have the 1, of course. Before you get to that next chord, which is the 5, we're going to hit a 2. Then we're going to hit a 5. Now, before we get to the 6, we're going to do 3. Then to the 6. Or, now you're going to have to play with the timing in a sense of, but you got a sense of it a little bit, I guess, when I just played it. All right, so we're on the 6, and now we're going to the 4. Now, many people, most people know that you can do a 5-1-4. Like if you're a church musician, jazz, neo soul, you've heard this before. You've heard that before. But if we're just sticking to one chord right before the main chord, it'll be a 1. Okay, so if we're thinking about circular movement, like I said, this whole video is about circular movement. Before you get to the 4, you can always use a passing chord on the 1. Now, the 1 to me is kind of similar to the 3, okay? Because usually I play a diminished chord over that 1. And then, right? Or a dominant, right? And it kind of looks the same. Okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a diminished chord over the 1, and I'm going to give you a dominant. Okay? So let's start with the dominant chord. First, I have my D in the bass, and I'll do something like that, which is C, E, F sharp, and A. Okay? So now you're always going to be thinking, do I hit a dominant chord or diminished? That's going to be up to you, okay? Now, just to let you know something, over this D, if you want to stay in this hand position right here, the way to change it to a diminished chord, which is to move your index finger down to the D sharp, okay? That what makes that dominant chord a diminished chord now. And we're still going to be over the D, okay? So now you know you have a dominant chord and a diminished chord. Now with this, honestly with both chords, don't get sucked into just playing it just like this. Take this diminished chord, and honestly the way I like to play it, I like to open it up and I'll play it like this. So I'll play A, C, and F sharp. A lot of times I take out that E flat or a D sharp and I'll just play it like this. And then of course you go to your 4. Okay? So pretty much we have our chords. And to be honest, what I did, I just took the diminished chord and dominant chord, and I used that to show you that you can pretty much do that as a passing chord. So from here on out, if you're just starting to understand passing chords, you need to know, okay, well, honestly, I can get to any chord using a diminished or a dominant. Now, this is just part 1. I can go a little bit further in part 2, but at least I wanted to get you started. And how you would do that, like I said, If you're on the 3, for instance, and you're again to the 6, whatever note that is. So in this case, like we did before, F sharp was your 3, so you just go up a half step, and whatever the note that is, that's the what you base your diminished off of. So in this case, it's a G diminished, okay? All right. Or if you're on the 1 and you're going to the 4, so let's say you've done 1, 5, 6. Now you want to go to the 4. Before you get to the 4, you can do a 1. If you want to do a diminished chord, you can say, okay, well, I know my bass is a D. So what diminished chord do I use? You just go up a half step up. That's a D sharp. So you base your diminished chord off of that D sharp. And you just use whatever inversion. And then the 4. Okay? So I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next video.